Good morning and thank you for joining us today. I'm Major Dave Krause with the New York State Police Community Narcotics Enforcement Team, and it's my honor to stand here with our federal and local law enforcement partners to announce a dangerous drug ring operating in Sullivan County has been dismantled. On March 9th and 10th, law enforcement arrested 27 individuals on drug and conspiracy charges for their involvement in the operation. Also seized were hundreds of grams of cocaine, crack cocaine, and heroin, along with weapons, vehicles, and thousands of dollars in cash. The New York State Police is proud to have worked together with our federal and local partners on this operation. The individuals arrested and charged are responsible for bringing a large amount of cocaine and heroin into Sullivan County. For months, law enforcement has been working this case and gathering the intelligence needed to bring this operation to a halt. Law enforcement has been conducting surveillance, investigating each individual based on the intelligence gathered. The result, as you've heard, are the arrests of more than 20 individuals along with the seizure of drugs, weapons, and cash. These are drugs that never made it to our streets, along with weapons and money taken out of dangerous hands. These dealers, people who have no regard for the damage these drugs can do to a community, sold drugs across the county, from Fallsburg to Middletown to Monticello. While these individuals are off the streets, the real story is the impact the drugs would have had on the lives of people across Sullivan County. Cocaine and heroin are not just a big city problem. We've encountered these drugs in communities in every region of New York State, from urban to suburban to rural, from downstate to upstate. These drugs do not discriminate. Teens, grandparents, white collar, blue collar, single or married with children. Our members have encountered users from all backgrounds. By getting these drugs off the streets, we're preventing crimes, preventing more addiction, and saving lives. Think for a moment how many lives would have been impacted by the drugs seized in this case, or the drugs these individuals would have continued to sell. The state police remain committed to working with our partners in law enforcement to identify dealers, put them out of business, and to send a clear message to anyone dealing these dangerous and deadly drugs. You will be found, you will be prosecuted, and you will go to prison. I would surely be remiss if I didn't recognize the dedication and work of the New York State Police and all our federal and local law enforcement partners, many standing here with us today. This case speaks to the incredible interagency coordination and cooperation it takes to get drugs off our streets. To the colleagues I stand here with, thank you for your support, your partnership, and for the great work that all of you do. At this time, I'd like to introduce Sullivan County District Attorney James Farrell to say a few words.
Thank you, Major. You can see here on the slide that we've created all of the various agencies that participate in this investigation. This was led by our New York State Police Community Narcotics Enforcement Team, who worked tirelessly to bring these folks to justice and culminating in the arrests. But you can see the Village of Monticello Police, the DEA, our Bureau of Fire was assisting us in this case, the Department of Justice, the Southern District of New York, the Liberty Police, my office, the Town of Fallsburg Police, the Middletown Police down in Orange County, the FBI, the Sheriff's Office here, led by our Sheriff, and the State Police. And Operation Betrayal was brought to a conclusion in terms of our investigation yesterday and the day before, and we have put out of business two significant cocaine and heroin trafficking organizations that were operating here in Sullivan County. The individuals that were arrested yesterday, the day before, are accused of conspiring to distribute significant quantities of heroin, crack cocaine, powder cocaine, and prescription pills in significant and substantial quantities. The investigative part of Operation Betrayal has now been brought to a conclusion, and now the prosecution part begins. My office will prosecute all of the offenders who have been arrested in this particular investigation in state court. 22 of those defendants were arraigned in Sullivan County Court yesterday by Judge Frank Labuda and remanded to the Sullivan County Jail without bail. Sullivan County is not immune, like any other county in our nation, from the scourge of heroin, cocaine, and other dangerous narcotic drugs, including prescription drugs, and the significant and ongoing threat they pose to our communities. These drugs, as the Major indicated, they destroy lives, they rip apart families, and they fuel a cycle of violence in our communities that threatens our safety and security. And routinely in law enforcement, we see the intersection of violence and the distribution of the drugs that we have seized in this particular case. And this investigation, I believe, and I believe my law enforcement partners agree with me, will make our county safer. Again, this was a team effort, no doubt about it. Combining resources, intelligence, manpower of all these various different levels of law enforcement and agencies to focus on this particular problem in our county. And we can see the results today that can be obtained by collaboration, cooperation, and coordination between all of our law enforcement agencies at all levels and prosecutors at all levels. We want to talk about some of the people at the head of this conspiracy. At the head of the two conspiracies, and there are two different conspiracies that were investigated here, we allege that David Velasquez was the head of one conspiracy involving Jonathan Blick, Earl Ivory, and Florencio Torres. The drugs that David Velasquez was supplying to Sullivan County were coming from Middletown, New York, and we executed a number of search warrants, including one on his residence in Middletown, and secured a substantial quantity of both cocaine, heroin, and money. The second conspiracy, at the top, we allege to be Adrian Phillip and his co-conspirators listed on this slide. He was operating out of Fallsburg and was distributing cocaine. We also issued a search warrant at his residence and seized a substantial quantity of cocaine, 1/2 kilogram of cocaine. At the David Velasquez prosecution, we have seized approximately 300 grams of cocaine, approximately 200 grams of heroin. That is a lot of heroin. A loaded handgun, a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and $58,000 in cash. We allege to be the illegal proceeds of his narcotics distribution organization. He has been charged with 5 counts of criminal sale of a controlled substance in the second degree. It's a Class A2 felony. He's also been charged with sale in the third degree and conspiracy in the second degree. Those are B felonies. The maximum term that he faces on these charges, if he is convicted, is 25 years. The Velasquez conspiracy included Jonathan Blick, Earl Ivory, and Florencio Torres. Blick was found to be in possession of approximately 1/2 kilogram of narcotics as well as part of this conspiracy. Torres was found to be in possession of 2 pounds of marijuana, and Blick was intercepted in a car with 35 grams. He's also been charged with that, of cocaine. These are pictures involving the seizure at the residence of David Velasquez. The second conspiracy we allege is led by Adrian Phillip. We seized there 538 grams, that's 1/2 kilo of cocaine, and also a vehicle. He's charged with criminal possession of a controlled substance in the first degree. That's an A1 felony. He potentially could face the rest of his adult life in prison if he's convicted of that charge, as well as 3 counts of sale in the second degree. Those are also A2 felonies. Tampering with evidence and conspiracy in the second and fourth degrees as part of this large-scale conspiracy. Also charged at the head of that conspiracy is Jose Marta. He was found to be in possession, and we seized approximately 70 grams of cocaine from him, also a vehicle, and $17,000 in United States currency, which we allege is proceeds of his part in this criminal conspiracy to distribute cocaine. He was charged with criminal possession of a controlled substance in the first degree, a Class A1 felony, and conspiracy in the second degree. Robert and Simona Ballard were also arrested as part of this conspiracy. They now have been additionally charged. They were charged previously, where they were found in possession of approximately 307 grams of cocaine. Again, a significant quantity, and 46 grams of heroin. 2 loaded handguns were seized from a search of their home. Those charges were filed earlier. They were arrested earlier. They've now been charged as part of this particular conspiracy, conspiring with Adrian Phillip. Others that have been charged include 22 total arrests in connection with this investigation, from the top of the pyramid, as we allege, through the other people that were working for and with Adrian Phillip and Robert Ballard. And these were the drugs that were seized from Adrian Phillip's residence during a search yesterday. Again, I want to thank all of my law enforcement partners. I specifically want to credit Major Krause here with the CNET Community Narcotics Enforcement Team of the State Police for his commitment and his team's commitment to our county. We are a small county. We're only a county of about 75,000 people, but we have our fair share of problems, and we need the assistance of the New York State Police, and we thank them for being here and being part and leading this successful investigation. I want to thank all of the local police departments. I want to thank the Village of Monticello Police, led by Chief Meir, who is here today, for his commitment to this investigation. The Village of Liberty Police, led by Chief Scott Kinney, for his commitment to this particular investigation. The Town of Fallsburg Police Chief, Simi Williams, and his department for, again, his commitment to this and his department's commitment to this investigation. The Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, our sheriff is here as well, Sheriff Mike Schiff, for his commitment from his staff and his office to this investigation. All of the local agencies are invested in what happens here, and that is a good thing, because that is the way we put together successful investigations, when we work together and when we do it as a group, as a team. This team is top-notch. I don't think we could assemble a better team here locally. I also want to thank the committed federal police agencies that serve Sullivan County, and this investigation obviously comes on the heels of the last investigation, and that was led by our FBI Hudson Valley Safe Streets Task Force, and they have also made a commitment to this community, to this county, and I want to thank them for their commitment here, for their participation in this particular investigation as well as the United States Attorney's Office, who has, again, made it very clear to me that he knows where Sullivan County is, he is concerned about Sullivan County, and he will do what it takes to make sure that we are safe and secure in this county. So I appreciate that as well. As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of Sullivan County, my most serious concern, folks, and my most important focus when I think about what I need to do is to protect the citizens of this county. And I will commit to the citizens of this county that I'm going to use every resource that I can, every single one. Our successful local, county, state, and federal partnerships that started with the last takedown will continue unabated. We will continue to investigate, as the Major said. We will continue to target. We will continue to arrest, prosecute, disrupt, and dismantle these types of organizations in Sullivan County. Thank you again. Thank you for my law enforcement partners in this. And now I turn this over to the Special Agent in charge of the FBI.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Osbourne. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Violent Crime Branch in the New York Field Office. There is a rich history of success with the Safe Streets Task Force here in Sullivan County. This operation here is just another example of those of the successes, as DA Farrell has referred to. We are proud to stand side by side with our local and state partners here in the county, and this really demonstrates not a commitment just to the task force and to working together, but an agreement and a commitment on the investigative strategies and the mission of everybody here that you see in front of you. as DA Farrell talked about, and that mission and objective is to protect the citizens of this county. So congratulations to everybody here. Again, we will stand side by side with all of our state and local partners from this day and for the many days forward on our operations as we go forward. Again, thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes, sir.
For either one of the, either the DA or you, sir, how concerned are you that it won't take long for others to simply come in, fill the empty spaces of the people that you have arrested and keep this flow going?
Well, obviously, whenever we disrupt and dismantle an organization, it seems that people step up to the plate. That's not going to dissuade us in any way, shape, fashion, or form from now investigating the people that take over. They're on notice. Folks are on notice. If you engage in this behavior, you are going to be investigated. You are going to be apprehended. You are going to be held to account. It's as simple as that. So you can choose your path. We choose lots of paths in life. Whether we want to go down the right path or the wrong path. You want to go down the wrong path? You want to sell these dangerous drugs in our communities and fuel the cycle of violence that we see around them with loaded guns and people being shot, people being slashed? No, and be on notice that we're going to be there to investigate you, arrest you, and prosecute you.
You said 22 have been arraigned in the county, right here in Sullivan County. What about the other 5? Are they being arraigned later today, or?
There is one individual who's being charged in Orange County, so that arraignment will take place in Orange County, New York. The 2 Ballards, Simona and Robert, are going to be brought over and charged and arraigned on the conspiracy charges, the new charges. And I believe that 2 were arraigned in local criminal court in the town of Liberty. So that takes us to a full complement. So all of these cases will be prosecuted in state court. The previous takedown that we did in conjunction with the Safe Streets Task Force, that was done federally. So we are, as we said when we did the last takedown, we're sharing the load here. Equal participation by all, so that we can get those results that we see today and that we see as we go forward with our first takedown. And there'll be more. Stay tuned. There'll be more.
Have you guys come across any correlative figures supporting actual curbed drug usage in the areas that you've been targeting?
What do you mean?
I mean, has there been any substantive proof that actually interfering with these processes, with these drug operations, curbs drug use in the communities that are targeted?
Well, we certainly know that the people that are at the head of these conspiracies engage oftentimes in violent acts. So if we can disrupt and dismantle their organizations, we disrupt and dismantle their violent acts that can be carried out as part of their organizations. I mean, we've seized, as part of this investigation, we've seized 3 loaded guns. Illegal. One of them, I think, had a serial number that was alleged to have been modified off of it. So obviously these things are not being used for good purposes. And I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, but not when they're used in connection with drug trafficking. So yes, I do believe that our dismantling these types of organizations makes our communities safer. Yes.
Now, Simone Ballard, she's actually working in one of our local schools. Are you what do you say about the concern of, how drugs aren't just, in the back alleys, they're really affecting the everyday lives of people getting more into regular community?
I think that's been for a long time. I think we're now seeing it more. You're seeing more of it, but I think drugs cut across every socioeconomic indicator that we can examine. And we need to make sure that we're doing our part to educate our children, to make sure that they don't go down the wrong path. I think that's enforcement's one part of it. We also have to do education. We have to try to make sure that we get to kids when they're young, so that way they understand. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not something that works out well, obviously. But I agree with you. It cuts across all strata. It is a concern. And it should be a concern for any employer. It should be a concern for any government. It should be a concern for any school district. And that's not any one particular school district. Everyone should be concerned.
Would these self-contained operations, or are they part of a larger network that extends beyond Monticello and this region even?
Well, obviously, we do believe that the importation of cocaine and heroin, I mean, it's got to come from a different area. We don't grow it here. We don't, it's not not a crop that can be grown here. Marijuana can, obviously. But cocaine and heroin have to come from somewhere else. So yeah, it comes from somewhere else, and we obviously, as part of our investigative techniques, we try to follow it to its source, and we give information to our partners who can then do something with that information. We want to make sure that when we are investigating our targets here, that we're focusing on people who are impacting our lives here in Sullivan County, because that's what our certainly our goal is here.
How long have you been working on this investigation?
This investigation,
Since last September.
I'm assuming that needed hours, hundreds of hours surveillance and other cover work to be able to.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
dedication by the group that was assembled here, many man hours. And I want to thank my executive assistant, Megan Galligan, who was at the office here with Tim Diamond and Sue Buckley, who were the case agents on this case, who worked enormously on this case. There were a lot of man hours amassed, and from all the agencies who dedicated officers to be a part of this investigation. We're talking about a considerable amount of resources, time, and energy.
Why was the operation centered in Monticello? I mean, was the activity and the drug sales all in Monticello itself? Or
No,
were
this-
other parts of the county involved as well?
No, this was not just Monticello. Adrian Phillip was living in Fallsburg. The conspiracy that Velasquez is alleged to be involved in was importing drugs into the Bloomingburg area of the town of Mamakating, Liberty. So no, this was not necessarily Monticello-centric. Certainly there's some Monticello folks who were arrested, but it was not Monticello-centric. But again, we have an intersection. We have a tri. We have a Liberty, Fallsburg, Monticello, and that doesn't mean there's not drugs in Jeffersonville or in Rusco. There are, but this was focused on this particular investigation was focused on these people because they were at the center of the distribution.
Do you know how much their annual trade? I mean, volume on an annual basis was $500,000 worth of drugs they were marketing. Million. I mean,
Well, the one individual had almost $60,000 that we believe was proceeds of his illegal drug operation on hand. So you can probably do the math and figure out that it's much more than that.
Looking ahead, do you have concerns or anticipate any issues related to the casino? Any issues, concerns?
Well, I think that the casino is obviously something that the people of this county voted for overwhelmingly. I think it was almost like a referendum if you look at the votes. So my hope is that the casino will give Sullivan County a shot in the arm. I don't think it's the silver bullet, but I hope it gives a shot in the arm economically.
Do you see it as having the potential of drawing any undesirable clientele?
I think any particular business could do that. I don't correlate that necessarily. I have to see. We have to see what our population does.
Thank you, everybody.